one thing I realized is even for most German companies, they really like acronyms. So they like to do any acronyms for everything.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Ethnographer. I'm John Steck, your host on this journey. We travel the globe to bring you stories about culture and the global automotive industry. Fasten your seatbelt and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Auto Ethnographer. I have a guest coming in from Malaysia. It's Dr. Edwin Pang. He is a noted tire expert, both on the side of manufacturing as well as tire rating services. He was educated both in Malaysia and England at the University of Nottingham with a master's degree and a Ph.D., which led him, quite frankly, to be an expert in tire manufacturing and tire development. He spent 2.5 years with Bosch in Malaysia as a group leader in manufacturing engineering. He then parlayed that into an 8-year career with the German tire manufacturer Continental, or Conti. He spent 2.5 years of that in Malaysia, but then had a fantastic opportunity to work with them in Germany at their engineering headquarters for 5.5 years. About 4.5 years ago, he started his own business, TopTireReview.com, where he could take and leverage his knowledge about tires and review tires and their performance for consumers who, he says, don't understand so much about tire and tire technology in Malaysia. Today, we'll talk about Edwin's experiences with the German culture, a little bit about his experience in the UK as a student, and now working in his native Malaysia and his startup business, Top Tire Review. Edwin, welcome. It's really nice to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, John. Happy to be here.
We're going to start a little bit in the roots of Edwin's, international adventures. His first time living abroad was in the UK as a student at the University of Nottingham. Edwin, tell me about this experience. This was your first time abroad?
I think yes, there is. I mean, of course, when you go a few places with your family, but this is my first time going abroad, living independently. So that is. I mean, for me, I think my main takeaway, especially when I go, living abroad independently, is you learn to take care of your shit yourself. So there's this great saying always, people's success is people's success, but people's failures is also people's failures. But that's also on to you. You're the same way. If you make decisions yourself, you get to own those decisions. And I think that is just an infant step to actually real life. I don't know whether you know this, but Asian culture wise, yeah, we are very connected to the family, so we stay with the parents till quite late, different than Western cultures, and that gave me, studying abroad, that gave me a preview of how life would be, and what responsibility, So you have to own your own decisions, and if you don't want to go to class, you don't go to class, but then you just have to be responsible of not having that class. Those things are super important as you build throughout the life. And from the UK perspective, I think it was. There are a lot of Asians in UK. It's not a top secret, but UK actually hosts a huge Asian population when it comes to studying. So you get very used to it, but I would say overall the general, let's say, structure of teaching and also learning, it gives you a bit of, let's say, exposure. And also how do different cultures actually collaborate together. So that's my first taste, where working on projects with different people from different cultures, you can actually see this. I would say it's like a mini preview of life. Work in work culture, it's the same. So it's just a mini preview of life, but and it's an experience that I will not take back, and I was really happy to actually enjoy through it.
No, it sounds like really a kind of a sink or swim situation where you're on your own and you have the option to be successful or not successful, and clearly you came out on the successful side of things. When you started with the University of Nottingham, you had the opportunity to study their campus in Malaysia, and then the opportunity to go over to the UK. Did they prepare you at all in terms of culturally for the UK while you were still in Malaysia, or was that something that you had to again sink or swim on your own?
Interesting point. So I remember there was so there is a lecturer who actually a Malaysian lecturer who actually was also studied there before, but he came back to Malaysia as a lecturer. He actually voluntarily gave a small 1 hour talk just to prepare people from my department a preview. So he was nice enough, like telling him where he stayed and what to expect, and so on. So he actually gave a preview, but not that I know of from the official Nottingham side. So maybe there is now, but it's more like you have your flight tickets, yeah, and you got your visa, okay, chop chop, see you there, something like that. I'm pretty sure it changed now, but that time it was just like this, chop chop. You got a place to stay? Did you apply? Yeah. Okay, then go.
No, it sounds like you really had to take matters into your own hands to get yourself situated.
Yeah, I mean, if
Well,
you want to go, yes.
so you finally graduated. You had your two diplomas, the master's and the PhD in mechanical engineering, in your hand, and you returned to Malaysia. And you ultimately landed with Bosch Malaysia, the largest German, actually the largest automotive supplier in the world. How did that happen? Was that something that you purposefully did to land with an international company in Malaysia, or was that just a coincidence?
I mean, of course, I mean, when you graduate, first thing you want to get some experience. So obviously there is an option to pursue the academia path, so be a lecturer, and also, but for me, I felt that working experience outside of this academia, it's quite important, and learning how to make stuff, or at least seeing how people make stuff and so on, it's quite important. That's why I wanted to work for a company which, let's say, do stuff. And I apply a few companies, and I got the interview with Bosch. I still remember. So obviously the German guy came and interviewed me, and he asked me one thing, which and hindsight I never knew about it. He was like, yeah, you seem to be very loyal to Nottingham. I said, yeah, okay, I studied twice there. That's all. But they said, yeah, loyalty is very important, no? And yeah, welcome to Bosch. That's all. That's all he told me. That's where I learned. I know a bit of this German culture thing.
Now, to my knowledge, Bosch does not manufacture tires. What were the products that you were involved with at that point in time?
In Malaysia, we were doing power tools, and there's one division where we call they do the measuring tools. So basically, electrically optimized powered tools that measure stuff. So one of my main project was the measuring rangefinder. So it's a laser rangefinder. You press a button, you measure the distance. They manufacture those, and in fact, part of my job when I was in Bosch was unfortunately to close down a bought over plant from Watsika in Illinois. So yeah, I mean that's even more challenging. I mean, of course, working and producing at the plant is let's say sort of expected in Penang, but to go over to Watsika in Illinois to close down the plant and still tell the workers that, yeah, don't worry about it, they are here to support you, but we will take your job in 1.5 year time and bring everything back to Penang, Malaysia.
Now, I can imagine, obviously, that overseas manufacturing and moving things back to the United States is a big topic nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. But that I got the opposite end. So I was tasked to bring everything back to Penang. That was 2010. 13 or 14, before the current issue that's happening. And that time you can already feel a bit. And I would say technically it's challenging, but from the human aspect point of view, it's even more challenging. I never really experienced this kind of human side of things, and for me, it's a very humbling experience.
It sounds like you had a similar experience to me, that you went to university with a very technical degree, and you're finding that afterwards the more difficult and challenging issue are people and the soft side of business. That's always one of the more difficult ones that they don't necessarily teach you in the university.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect them to teach you, but of course, that's life, and you have to learn this through. I mean, obviously, if you have, when you're grown up, I was not exposed to this, but in hindsight, these things are super important, and to talk to people, to let them understand, and I mean, basically to win over their side is not easy, and especially I will totally understand their point. We are there to do a job. It was given an instruction to do it, but sometimes it's not just like this. So and we were there to the end, and I can really feel their pain. Um, and for me, I still remember that guy who just bought a house, and he still had the paper of. So Bosch basically bought over a company in 2008, just before the crisis happened. They bought over a measuring tool company, and which has been based over there. And I still remember the guy who said who was forced to leave had that paper saying that welcome to the Bosch family. We bought over your company, nothing changed, and he showed it to me.
That's hard. That's a challenge.
Exactly, and for me it's not yeah it's very emotional, and if you ask me, I will never want to do such thing again, if possible.
That's very understandable. I've gone through similar processes where I had to release a lot of people from a company. It's something that I'll cover in a future podcast. Speaking about the soft sides of business, let's come back to Malaysia at Bosch. So here you were, you had just experienced time in the UK. You told me how you had to learn about the culture. You did that on your own mostly, and now you're in a huge German supplier. Were there a lot of German expats working in Malaysia at the time? Did you have a lot of exposure to them, or was it a company that was primarily staffed by local Malaysians?
I mean, there are two different levels. So the higher management are mostly Germans. So the plant manager, the finance director, and maybe the HR director are Germans. So having reporting duties to them, I do talk to them. Um, there are also at that point there are also a lot of interns also coming from Germany, and actually Penang is one of their major destination. So Penang is a very touristy area, and they use this as the platform to visit more other countries. And so I personally had a few interns, and I mean at that time I don't really haven't been to Germany. I didn't really knew the mandatory internship and so on that they do. But all I remember was they produce fantastic interns. Even interns that are uh, engineer capable, or sometimes even better than an engineer of Malaysia standards. And I remember I worked with one intern. I just told him like I have some issue with the software. Maybe you just have a look at it, and if you solve the issue, good. If not, then we discuss about it next week. Not only he finished and solved the issue, he programmed everything that I needed for the whole line.
Of course, the German culture, and I've talked about the German culture on the podcast a few times. How did you find that? What kind of adaptation did it take on your side? Germans tend to be much more direct, and I know personally living in Asia that directness is not something that you encounter every day. How did that work for you?
I think most of the Germans who actually came here, I think they adapted a bit during my business trips to Stuttgart, where they are based. Then you can feel a bit more, especially feisty in the meetings. But back in Penang or Malaysia, it's actually more of adaptability. And of course, they are very straightforward. I picked that up. They don't just hide behind the bushes and so on. But I feel they are doing a lot to adapt to the Malaysian side, and you don't feel it that much compared to when I was in Hanover in Conti. So, but I felt that I get their point. Things are done. It's not an issue, especially when you are in Malaysia. I mean, and of course, my supervisor was also a German who just came from Stuttgart, and I think he had also a bit of hard time to adapt a bit in Penang. Of course, he had a young family, and and working hours, unfortunately, at the time was super high with the pressure of producing X amount of tools and so on. So I think he had a bit harder time to adapt. But I think he get the gist. We all get the gist. Just that sometimes it's really hard during the heat of the moment, especially in stress times.
Was there anything that took you by surprise? Something that you struggled with interaction with the German culture, with either with the directness. You're an engineer, so you're also very detail oriented and attention to logic and rationale, uh, which is quite often found in the German culture. Was that an area of struggle for you, or any areas of surprise?
That's the main problem because I'm so and technically rationally focused. It suits very well. I talk to their engineers. There's no issue. Uh, but the only issue was when I had the human side, when I had to close the plant. That you don't really need much engineer knowledge. Yeah? You just need a good human side, and that's where I struggle a lot, especially in America, where people just say what they want, and it's not so easy. I mean, I can tell you the story when I went to the plant the first day. I was at the Met. So every town has a McDonald's. So I went to the McDonald's, and first thing the guy was asking me, "Are you here to take over the plant?" I heard about it yesterday. I just smile. Yeah. She asked me what I'm here, what am I doing here? I mean, so I just smile.
No, that's certainly a challenge, and you're right. Americans will also be quite open and tell what they think when it comes to especially something a circumstance like that. Moving on a little bit, you were working on electronic measuring instruments, and then you moved into one of the world's most well-known tire manufacturers, the German company Continental, or Conti. How did that happen? It's quite a big change from electronics to tires, and obviously your most recent personal venture is still in tires, so you've developed a love for it. Can you tell your backstory a little bit with tires and how you fell into that?
So I was based in Penang, so been to US quite often, so a lot of traveling. So, but at the time, my girlfriend told me that, yeah, Edwin, I think you should be back in Kuala Lumpur. I got the message, and after the plant closure, I decided I will move back to Kuala Lumpur. So emotionally and mentally, I had a huge toll, and I said I wanted to go back to Kuala Lumpur for sure. And that's where I got the interview with Conti. And funny story that the interview room that I was there. So I don't know whether you know this, but Conti gives you a 1 day whole interview process. So I think they are one of the few that does it. So basically, IQ tests, physical tests, mental tests, whatever. They try to do a whole day, and then the last part is the interview, where they talk to you and get to know you and so on. So they do the whole day stuff. I think by the end of the day you are auto. So that exact same room. So I met my future boss. So he's an Irish guy. but he works in Germany. So he considered himself as an expat. He decided to hire me. Uh, I mean, even though I know shit about tires, and I specifically remember he asking me a question, a technical one, and he was asking me, "Can you explain to me how tires actually, how should I say, how tires actually work in water? So there's a big part of water. Can you explain to me how does tire actually evacuates water?" And then he started looking at my CV. It says that you learn computational fluid dynamics, right? So explain to me now. I gave him the worst, stupidest answer. I cannot remember what answer I gave, but he was like, Edwin, that's bullshit. But okay, understood. In the end, it was just a leap of faith. So I changed industry, but I actually like changing different industry to learn things from scratch. It's not a big issue. So I started already printing books about tires during my holiday. So I had a one month period. I print books to read about tires and so on. And my Irish boss even called me when during my first few days. It's like, I heard about it. Are you serious? You brought some books over about tires, and you're reading about it in the office. I said, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, of course, I thought I read something, and then he started laughing.
It's all in the preparation. I'm a firm believer in preparation in advance so that you're not blindsided.
Yeah, I mean, at least I learned the fundamentals, or I mean, at least I know the stuff. But one thing I realized is, even for most German companies, they really like acronyms. So they like to do any acronyms for everything. Like this program is called, I don't know, you can call it Cobra. And then they will find the words for the Cobra, computational, ongoing, best, or whatever. I mean, now with AI, you can come up with all craps, but back then it took a lot of mental power to actually come up with acronyms. And they like acronyms for everything, everything. And as a new guy, you go in, it's like, okay, what is this? What is that? What is FGC? Or what is this? What is that? You don't know anything. And that's similar to Bosch as well. I don't know, from your side, do you have a lot of acronyms as well?
It's almost even worse in the automotive industry at the automaker level. Everybody has a different acronym, but they also have different names for the different parts inside of a car. So one company might call an instrument panel, another one calls it a dashboard. There are so many different terms. In fact, I think there was even a book published by Bosch, which was a handbook for translating between English and German the names of car parts, and it gave all of the different variants of the German names for the different components, because even between companies the names are different. If I may ask, did those two companies have a handbook of acronyms, or did you have to always ask the question?
So I usually ask. So there's no handbook, but maybe in some slides there is. You have to find the kickoff slides or whatever slides that started it at the first. But usually it will be a point. It will be so annoying. You don't really care anymore. So yeah, okay. You this system is XYZ. That system is ZAD or whatever ABC, and then you just like, okay, it's sort of hard coded. But for me, it's just, yeah, it's really annoying.
Well, tell me, in Malaysia, is it common to use acronyms? Because the United States loves them as well. The Germans, obviously. What about in Malaysia?
I mean, if you talk about this normal mom and pop business, or small companies, yeah, you never heard of this acronyms. No such thing. It's more of like a big corporate thing. It's like, can you do this in this? I mean, that's all. No, like, uh, uh, I meet the Cobra, I go to the BCD, and then I finish the FGC or whatever. I was like, what? They describe things, just describe it.
So you have to, number one, you have to learn the language, and then you have to learn the acronyms.
The funny thing is, I think Conti wise, so I think a lot of the people I work in Conti, or actually in Bosch, they have been there for very, very, very long time. So, uh, I mean, it's sort of good, and also, I mean, I think it's a double edged sword. So they know a lot, so I learn a lot from them. But most of them, they also ask me like, how is it on the other side? How is it different in this company, and so on. So that's something I try to bring their perspective.
And what differences did you find between Continental and Bosch? I mean, obviously every company has its own internal culture, but both of them happen to be German companies that you worked for in Malaysia. What differences did you notice, and was any of them or either of them better or worse at dealing with the local culture?
I would say, yeah, I would say they are pretty much quite aligned when it comes to these procedures. Most of the Germans that I met in working in Malaysia, for them are really direct. So they bring their own directness. But when I asked them a bit more, they told me, okay, yeah, they've been to one class, to adaptability class or whatever they call it, by a consultant, and they try to explain to them. And one funny thing, I think it's the same. I don't know. Did you do that when you started in Thailand? So I know the Germans. They are all about the weather. They check the weather temperature. They check the tire. They check the week. It's like, oh yeah. It's like first thing I remember. One of my German expats, he told me, yeah, I checked the weather. Today is going to rain. So oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay, rain. And then after that, tomorrow, yeah, yeah, I checked. This week will be sunny or good sunny Saturday. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. 6 months later, he doesn't. He never checks the weather app anymore. After 6 months, he realized it doesn't matter. So it's 50-50 chance of raining or sun, but nonetheless, you can do much about it. It's not you wear a t-shirt and that's it. So nothing you can do about it. And this it's also present in Bosch and also present in Conti. I find this very funny. So no training about this previous. I mean it's normal. Even when I was in Hanover, I looked at the weather report quite closely, but it's not needed when you come to Malaysia or Thailand. It's not needed at all. It's just waste of your time.
Well, it's very funny. You exactly described my behavior for the first few months in Thailand. I think my wife and I were the only ones carrying an umbrella on the days when there was a potential for rain.
Yeah, they will naturally learn that you don't need to, but just looking at the process and understanding and seeing, it's so funny. I mean, no locals ever check the weather. I mean, maybe if you want to play golf at a certain time, maybe, but nobody actually really uses it. That's why no weather apps actually go viral or have a big fan base in at least this part of the Southeast Asia region. It doesn't really matter.
Are there any other kind of curious or humorous traits that you noticed besides being very attentive to the weather?
So spiciness for us is something you train from young. So you slowly add a bit, but as I understand, they don't it's not really available, or they don't really use it at all. Spice, I mean this spicy chili flakes or whatever, and you don't get this big jump, and suddenly you are someone who never ate anything spicy in their whole life to try something our level. Yeah, it's not possible. Obviously, you see the funny reactions. Then I understand why how it started, because over there there's no exposure. You cannot suddenly pump it up. To put it in different perspective, we jump straight. So when I was in Hanover or in Germany, you can't trust the spicy level over there. So as an Asian, you can't trust the spicy level, because you can add a super spicy, or they give the chili star. One is 2 and 3. So 3, you in Malaysia, if you see 1, 2, 3, the 3 you better don't. It's really serious. I think you probably will go to the toilet after that. But in Germany, it's the opposite. You see 3, probably tingles a bit. If you put 1, no feeling at all, no feeling. Also, like cleanliness. So I mean, I don't know how much food street you are exposed to, but cleanliness is not a big thing in Malaysia or Thailand, I guess. And it took time for them to get used to it. And I know a guy who only eats at one restaurant every day, because that's where he thinks it's the most cleanest one. Okay.
I used to joke around in the past that in Germany, it was actually illegal to import anything that was more powerful than black pepper and salt, simply because nobody can handle the spice over there. And then looking a little bit at the workplace, were there any kind of, let's say, behaviors or customs or traits that they had in the office that you found curious? I've worked at companies where at exactly 4:59 p.m. everybody is packing their briefcase so that when the clock turns 5 o'clock, they run out. Um, German punctuality and the clock is very well known. Was that something that you had to deal with? Because I know that in Asia the clock is a little bit more flexible.
When I was in Malaysia, my direct boss was also a German, and he actually, let's say, he has a bit of tolerance. I think maybe he adapted a bit, so he has some tolerance. But of course, you cannot be more than 5 or 10. Later than that, he will not accept. But he has some tolerance. But only when I was in Hanover, then I really felt the need to be exactly there on time. And the funny point is, you cannot be there early and you cannot be there at late. You need to be on time. So, for example, if it's 11, you cannot be there at 10:50 and start wasting their 10 minutes. No, you have to be there at 10:59, maybe 50 seconds or whatever. And that's what they are looking for. Not 10 minutes earlier, not 10 minutes later. Yeah. so, so I learned, I mean, obviously you had a lot of appointments in Germany in the company or also outside, and that's what they are looking for. And that is something, yeah, that I really never really experienced.
So how did that happen, by the way? You were working for Conti in Malaysia, and then you had an opportunity to go to Germany for 5.5 years. How did that come about? And was that something that you were looking for?
So my direct boss was the Irish boss. After that, he had some fallout, and he decided to switch department. When he was in the other department, he had some openings. Some people left, and he said, "Why not you come over to Germany? I promise you, you will learn exponentially faster." That's the key word. It's like, yeah, I don't stay in Malaysia. I will promise you exponentially faster. That's what you're looking for. I can tell you the funny story. So my first day of work in Hanover. So like, okay, he's waiting for me. The whole team is waiting for me. He said, like, come have lunch. So I took the flight and I checked into my temporary hotel, and I said, okay, I'm coming. I mean, I've been there a few times. It's not my first time, but and he told me that. So I bought a month ticket. So obviously, I know I'm not that stupid that you have to buy tickets. Even though there's no gates and so on for the train, and you have to buy tickets. So okay, this I understand. Asian culture, we know that you don't get anything free. Okay, so I bought the tickets, and being from the UK side, I bought zone 2. So zone 1 and zone 2, I thought zone 2, if you are at the outer region, you cover anything that's inside. So that's the principle, at least in UK at the time. So I said, okay, I want to go to zone 2, I buy zone 2. But actually, you have to buy zone 1 and zone 2. So, okay, doesn't matter. I bought a like 60, 70 euro ticket. It's a monthly ticket. No problem. So I bought it. Okay, then I said, let's go. Apparently, it was the first day of the month where people sometimes forget about their ticket. The ticket handlers or inspector are very active. So every first of the month. Okay, whatever. I've been to the to the train, and obviously he came to me and said, "Yeah, you need to have zone 1 and zone 2." I said, "Oh, honest mistake. I can't afford extra €5. I'm not saving on this. I bought a monthly ticket." But obviously, that's where I started with the communication issue. I speak English, he speaks German. We are talking about gorillas and, and tigers. Nobody understands each other. So I said, yeah, here you go. I have my ticket. You can see obviously this is an honest mistake, and I will rectify this. Or he starts saying, no, it's not allowed. I mean, typical strict, it's not allowed. This is illegal. You should get fined. Okay, no problem. If you say so, then I said, yeah. My I said, take out your passport. I cannot remember. I bring my passport, but I said, yeah, you can write this down. Okay, so I wrote everything down. Then when it comes to the address, I mean, I don't really know German, and at that time, and said, oh yeah, what is your address? Then I said, yeah, I have no address now, so you can put it at the hotel. So hotel XYZ. Then he's like, hotel? You know, stay here? I said, no, no, hotel. He ripped that thing apart and said, please don't do it next time. Okay, ciao. The funny thing is, so I was late to lunch. Everyone was pissed. Everyone was hungry. On my way back, same thing had happened again. Obviously, I have to go back using the train to go to the city center, to go to the main station to change the zone one. I cannot afford to throw it away, so I have to upgrade my ticket with zone one. The same thing happened again. The same guy, someone else who are actively looking for people who were skipping for tickets, they actually came and see me again. I told him, yeah, the same shit happened again when I came. Then he's like, uh, he asked someone to translate, and I was telling him I stay in the hotel also, and you can ride if you want. But the same thing happened when I came. He sort of didn't believe me, and basically he told me, please step out of the train. I said, oh shit, am I going to get arrested or what? Step out of the train. Okay, so I step off of the train, and he laughed. Take the next one. Okay, okay. That gave me a big preview of. I mean, at that time I didn't know, but how the German culture actually works. Especially with the language. I mean, I'm a strong proponent that, of course, if I go to this country, I will learn German. It's not an issue. Obviously, it's the most commonly spoken language. It's not a big deal. But I mean, it's sort of a bit hypocrite where. So I have a lot of German friends going to China at that time, doing expat as well. So they were given lessons. They were given one-to-one tutoring for Chinese language, Mandarin. And of course, my plan was in China. We talked a lot, and he told me one day, "Hey, I decided I will give up on my one-on-one tutoring. I'm not getting anywhere, and then I see this as a burden." I said, "What? You get one-on-one tutoring, you get so much support, and you give up on Mandarin? Yeah, I mean, not like I'm gonna use it. Yeah, I give up." I said, wait a minute. So a German who goes to China can give up on this Mandarin, but an Asian who goes to Germany is expected to speak fluent German in 6 months.
Conti is a quite global company. I mean, they have operations all over the planet. Wouldn't English be the kind of common language within the company? Would that be accepted?
Conti's main official channel is English for sure. So official slides, everything has to be in English. This it was a big change 20 years before, but this is now well understood. But but okay, two things. So you get the pressure from all of them, especially if there's a lot of German colleagues. They want to speak German, and they don't really care whether John knows how well are you. Are you comfortable? They don't really care. They just want to speak German. Uh,
That's
and
certainly a high motivation for you to learn, and obviously you did learn quite well.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, I feel that I mean, even for people who are just on short assignment, maybe 6 months, that they don't also understand. So, and to put it in a different way, like they actually, I felt the pressure. Also in the walls of Conti, but I mean, if you need English, people will definitely speak to you in English. It's no issue. But if not, then no.
So you had the 5.5 years in Germany, which clearly trained you in the tire technology. You were working in the development there and in product strategy. But then you decided to return to Malaysia and you started TopTireReview.com, which is a business that you own and operate. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey of going from Germany at Conti back to Malaysia?
During COVID, so it actually really hit really hard, especially I have a young family. COVID was really tough for me. I mean, relatively, I would say in Germany, we get much more freedom compared to the Asian countries. Especially in Malaysia, there are constant lockdowns. In Germany, you are also freely able to do whatever you want. It's not a big issue. However, of course, being so far away, I don't have any grandparents support. I have no family support, so it's only me and my wife and three kids, and that really took a toll, especially when kindergarten had to close. The kindergarten thing is quite a big topic also, especially, but you had to close, and it got really stressful, especially when you have to juggle both the kids and also working sometimes. And my wife told me that she wants to come back home after 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 going through the COVID times, and she wanted to come back home, where at least some support is still available. Before the transition of coming back, I already thought about what my friend actually asked me. So I bespoke earlier, like, I mean, what is your strengths? What can you leverage on? And what are you good at? So that's where I decided, okay, I have programming background. I have tires background. There's a big knowledge gap in Asia about tires, and I know tires quite well, how to develop it and how to compare it and so on. And say, okay, why not I start something about tire knowledge? And that's where it started to say, okay, I would start writing articles about tire knowledge and find what is easy for people to read. So I have to tone down a lot from an engineer point of view to a more consumer seeking product point of view. And that's where I started. I know the market very well, especially in Malaysia and Asia, and I try to fine tune those things. And to be honest, there's nobody. I mean, it's a good market because there's nobody doing tire stuff in Asia, at least. I like the freedom of doing your own thing. I guess you are the same. You can do whatever you want whenever you feel like doing. And I mean, for me, after being through all this experience, especially tough times in Germany during COVID, I feel it's very important. Of course, I want to spend time with my family, and I want also to do things that I like, you know. And I think there was a famous saying: if you do things that you like, it's not a job, you know. It's just something you like, you know. And I was looking for those things, and then I think I found it when doing tires.
Do you miss, now that you're back in Malaysia, your home country, and really focused on a more local Asian market? Do you miss that cultural interaction with people from another country, or it's you have that anyway from a circle of friends?
Actually, I mean, I do miss the German style of working, especially, I mean, I miss my Irish boss a lot. He brings in a different perspective of things. Technically very strong, but human resource wise also very nice. But I mean, I miss having him as a boss, but of course now I have ultimate freedom. But interaction wise, yeah, I do miss talking to my old German friends. So we still talk, you know.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the episode, Edwin. Really great conversation about the cultural experiences that you had in Malaysia with German companies, and then, of course, going straight to the source to Germany and Hannover. Any last point you want to make about these experiences? Advice to somebody who is thinking about possibly following in your footsteps?
If you would like to go, I mean, as a from an Asia side, if you like to go to Germany, uh, uh, go there with a open heart. Don't be afraid of trying new things. And how should I say? Let's say be understanding of each person's culture, and ideally, you learn the good stuff from Germany. You keep the good stuff what you have in Asia, and then you become a much better person. That's the ideal goal. try to keep an open heart. And I know Germans complains a lot. That's one of their past hobbies, but uh, you have to think about the holistic approach. Like how's things there. I mean, I for instance, I really agree on a lot of things that what Germany is doing, like especially with the insurance policy, the social insurance that you have, and so on, which I think we could easily replicate in our country. So go there, absorb what you think is good, have a good independent assessment, and maybe come back and make your own country better. With an open heart and open mind, I think you can really learn a lot, especially with your experience overseas. That's the most important. I mean, doesn't matter you go Germany, somewhere in Europe, doesn't matter. As long you are willing to talk and understand and see, I think it's definitely worth.
Those are very meaningful words. I think a lot of people can take those to heart. It certainly is a big adventure to move out of your home country into something that's much different. So thank you for sharing that with us. So I think here we'll end the episode. I want to thank the listeners very much for joining us today. I want to thank you very much, Edwin, for joining us and to share your experiences with your German companies in Malaysia as well as in Germany. With that, we'll end the episode. So until next week, when we meet again, keep on driving. Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Auto Ethnographer and leave us a rating or comment. For more information, visit our website at auto-ethnographer.com. You can also follow on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.